Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. This is Muhammad Atif and this is the summary of today's lesson. Today we have started lesson 1 unit 9 English student book page number 126 127. Today's lesson is about the planet Earth, animals, habitats. So before we have started the lesson, I have discussed the lesson objectives and the vocabulary slide with the class. These are the lesson objectives on the screen right now. The purpose of today's lesson: first of all, listening. Listen for information, listen and take notes. Then speaking, practice the vocabulary, speak about animals and their habitats. Then reading activity, read about the food chain. And then we have arranged the diagrams according to the food chain. And the critical thinking, analyze, classify, and take notes. So these are the lesson objectives. Then we have discussed some vocabulary words as well. So the first vocabulary word is forest, a large area of land covered with trees and plants. Antarctic, the very cold area around the South Pole, that includes Antarctica. It's a basically continent full of ice and extremely cold weather, and the surrounding seas. Savanna, a large flat area of land covered with grass, usually with few trees, that is found in hot countries, especially in Africa. Habitat, the natural environment in which an animal or plant usually lives. Horn, a hard pointed, often curved part that grows from the top of the head of some animals, or the hard substance of which a horn is made. Viper, a small poisonous snake. Seal, a large mammal that eats fish and lives partially in the sea and partially on land or ice. Antelope, a mammal like a deer with horns and long, thin legs that allow it to run very fast. Eagle, a large, strong bird with a curved beak that eat meat and can see very well. And dwarf frog is in stories for children, a creature like a little man with magical powers. Clownfish. Clownfish is a small fish that is usually red, orange, or yellow with white stripes and lives in warm or tropical seas. So these are the vocabulary words that we have discussed during the class as well. So after that, we have discussed the first activity. And the first activity is word study, in which we have to match these animals with their habitats, the environment where they live. So I have discussed these questions, these pictures with the class. I asked them to make a guess because most of the animals are new to them, okay? And like elephant, seal, and antelope, okay? And yeah, these two animals especially. So I asked them to make a guess and also this stick insect. So they made very good guesses and they answered almost all the correct questions. So to match our answers, to verify the answers, we have to listen to the track 51. Listen and check your answers to activity 2. So to answer that activity 2, I've included the track 51, which I'm going to include it again for the summary purpose. So kindly listen to the track and then I will display the answers as well.
Track 51.
1.
This is a reptile called a horned viper snake. It lives in the Sahara Desert in Africa, where it's very dry and hot. It likes to bury itself in the sand, where it waits for its prey. Lizards and birds are its favorites.
2.
The stick insect looks like the twigs and branches of the trees it lives on. It lives in forests all over the world and likes to eat the leaves of the trees. It's nocturnal, so it spends most of the day keeping very still, hidden in plants and trees, so birds don't see it and eat it. It eats leaves and other small bugs.
3. The elephant seal is an aquatic mammal that lives in the Antarctic. It is extremely cold, but the elephant seal has a lot of fat on its body to help to keep it warm. It spends most of its time hunting fish, octopus, and squid under the water. 4. A clownfish lives in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, where the sea is warm. It's called a clownfish because it's very colourful and active. It eats algae, which are small plants, and small fish, and it lives around anemones, which help protect it from predators. 5.
This amphibian is called an African dwarf frog. It lives in freshwater rivers and ponds in Africa where it is cool. It's called a dwarf frog because it's so tiny. It eats bloodworms and water fleas and spends most of its time underwater.
6. This bird lives in the Swiss mountain ranges. It's a golden eagle, one of the largest birds of prey. It's used to living in cold conditions, and it makes its nest high up in the mountain rocks. It eats hares, foxes, and birds which live on the ground. 7.
This animal lives in the African savanna, where it is hot all year round. It's a medium-sized mammal called an antelope, and it likes to eat a lot of grass. It has horns to protect itself from predators, such as lions and hyenas.
Okay, so that was the track, and then I have displayed the answers as well, which I'm going to display it again for the summary purpose. So here are the answers on your screen right now. Activity 3. Activity 4 is also about the same track 51, so you can repeat the track if you want to solve it by yourself. And after that, we have discussed this chart, this table, okay, in which the students have to answer about all these 7 animals, okay. So first of all, they have to mention the type of animal, then name of animal, then their habitat, and then what they eat. So we have completed this chart. I've played the track twice during the lesson, and I encourage the students to find the answers as much as they can. So they found the answers, and then I displayed the answers as well. So here are the answers on your screen right now. Then activity 6 was about read the text and check your answers to activity 5. And because activity 5 is about this food chain, and they asked us to complete this food chain, name them according to their role. So I've read this text, and then we have discussed that the first one is the producer, the second one is the primary consumer, the third one is the secondary consumer, and the fourth one is the tertiary consumer. So I asked the students to write their names, write these names on these animals and producers, predators, and preys. And then we have discussed the seventh activity. Seventh activity is also about the food chain. We have 3 different food chains. Number 1, this one. Number 2, these 3, and number 3, these 3. So we have to arrange them according to their role. So the students answer it very easily. And then I've displayed the answer as well. So for the first food chain, the grass is the producer, mouse is the primary consumer, and snake is the secondary consumer. Same like that, these are the food chains. So that's all for today's lesson, and thank you very much for your participation. Have a good day.